So here's your MPU interface. Here's where all your wires are hooked up to the LCD. Now by default, when you send a character to the LCD, it's going to print that character to the DD RAM. And the DD RAM, I believe it's data display RAM, that's just holding the information that's on the screen. But we want to talk to the character generator RAM, CG RAM. And this is where there's 8 custom characters you can have, and they're all stored inside of this RAM chip. So to talk to that, we go back to this data sheet, and we see over here, set CG RAM address. This is going to, if you send this and you send an address, it's going to set the address counter to whatever the address is, but also it's going to tell the MPU that we are now talking to the CG RAM. So if you send characters to the CG, you're sending them to here now, and they're not going to appear on the screen. You're just updating the data in the CG RAM. So the CG RAM can hold 8 custom characters, and each character takes up 8 bytes in the RAM. So character 0 starts at address 0, ends at address 7, character 1, address 8 to address F. So when you set your CG RAM address, you're going to want to set it to the first part of each character. So if you wanted to modify character 2, you would set your CG RAM address to 10 hex. And then once you set your CG RAM address, over here I've drawn a little man standing still with his arms outstretched, and this black box here is one character. This is how it looks on the screen. The display is only 5 pixels wide, so these pixels here are not going to be displayed. I don't think it cares if you put 1s to them, but I usually just send 0s. And then these characters these pixels down here, they will show up if you write to them, but the cursor is going to cover it up if you have the cursor on, so just know that. Now, after you set your CG RAM address to add, this one's at address 0, so this is going to modify character 0. You set your address to 0, then you load your data bits with whatever's here, so this would be 001000000. And then you just send the print character command, because again, once you send the CG RAM address, the MPU is going to know that that's not what we're talking to. So when you print a character, it's going to print it to this line, and then automatically the address counter will increment. So then you just send the next character. So you're going to send this one, which would be 011100000, and you do that 8 times. And once you're done with that, then you set your DD RAM address to wherever you want the DD RAM address to be, and then the MPU will know to start sending back to the DD RAM. So when you print this character, it's going to print up. It's going to print that character on the screen.
So this is our code from the Bend-Eater video. We just initialize the LCD and get it ready to go. Right here, we are ready to start talking to the LCD. So I'm going to load A with the instruction 01, which in the datasheet, that's the send the CG RAM address. And I'm going to send it the address all zeros, and that'll let us modify character 0. If I wanted to modify character 1, I would go to address 8, character 2 is at address 16, and so on. But we're going to modify character 0 and then send it as an instruction. So now the compiler, or the LCD, knows we're talking to the CG RAM. So any data we send as a character will not be printed to the screen. It'll be printed inside the RAM, the CG RAM. So we're ready to start putting our image in. So if I look at my little picture and I go left to right, I'm going to put 3 zeros for those characters that aren't, or the pixels that aren't drawn, and then a 00100. And then I'm going to send that as print character. So now that's going to go into the CG RAM. I'm going to do it 7 more times, and I'm just going to go one by one and set this to all the other rows. All right, so that's all 8 characters have been, all 8 lines of the character have been sent. So now we want to load A with the character, or with the command that says send a DD RAM address. So that's the one that starts with a 1, and then my address, I'm just going to put all zeros, so that'll put us right at the first line of the first row. So now we're ready to start printing our character. So I modified character 0, which that means you send a 0. if you want to send character 1, you put a 1 here, a 2, a 3, whichever character you've modified. We did character 0, so I'm going to say JSR print char. And because the last address we sent was the DDRAM, we're now printing to the DDRAM. So this should print our character and then fall into this infinite loop here to just halt. So let's save it and compile it and see what it does.
All right, I've compiled the code and then put it on the chip. So now let's see what happens when we power it up, reset. There he is. There's our little man. So that's how to make a custom character. You can put up to 8 of them, and you could even modify them in software, like on the fly. So, I mean, you can kind of hack your way to having more than 8 if you need to.